Chanel.
Hey you! Boop, boop. Another week,
again.
getting bigger and bigger, peeing every 5 seconds.
Lightning crotch.
That's a way to start out the show. Any
I remember
husbands
that.
listening to this with their wives, it's real.
It is.
The vagina is a beautiful muscle.
Let's define
Sir.
what lightning crotch is. It means it's generally because the baby's feet are kicking your bladder, and so they're lightning crotch.
Yeah.
And so you're peeing constantly. Is that where you're
With
at?
2 in there.
How often do you pee at night?
5 times a night. I've never woken up in my life to go to the bathroom ever before this.
Really?
And now it's a good 4 to 5 times a night. Oh, yeah. And I don't know where all the liquid comes from because I stopped drinking at a certain point, but it's like nonstop. But yeah, God love it. Husband wants to get me a pee pot. I'm not above it.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's get through this.
Yes.
I'm sure we have a time limit before the bathroom.
I've
break.
not peed each week during an episode
That's
at all
true.
yet, though.
It's
I'm
been really
impressed.
amazing. Yeah, that wasn't me. I had to pee constantly.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
not what we're talking about today. We are
No.
not talking about peeing.
today we're talking about knowing what you want versus not knowing what you want and being lost, kind of, in life. You know what I mean? I should stop saying, you know what I mean? Know what I mean?
I need to work on
Know
that
what I
too.
mean? Yeah, I've started doing that again and I hate it.
Yeah, we talked about that in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So knowing, I'll start with myself. I was somebody who kind of knew what they wanted and then completely lost that and then didn't know what I wanted and had to take some time to figure that out, you know? And I don't like saying I was lost because that feels like I just don't like that. But it was definitely a period of time where I had to figure out and reframe what I wanted and just try things and new things and have to be very kind to myself about it. And, you know, that was hard. So I'll begin with that. How about you?
Yeah, I think we went to Purchase and I always was like on this tier of like, I love theater. And then I did it. And then I came back to LA and I don't like doing TV. I don't like it. I like theater. And then I'm like, should I have stayed in New York longer to do the theater scene? Like, I like the process of beginning, middle, and end. You know, I don't like going on. I like sets. I grew up on sets my whole life. I know sets. I know everything. Like, I know a lot about the world of it. However, I don't like stop and go. I'm a very so when I got out here and the theater wasn't where it was at, I was like, and then also I knew with the guys trying to put me on the casting couch and stuff like that, I was like, I can't be part of this because it's going to ruin my soul and I'm going to be a major bitch. And I just didn't want any part of it. And that's when I kind of said no to it for a long time. Like I would go back to theater.
Right.
Except I just felt like, and then I went into producing at Warner Brothers because I was like, okay, I can do this where like, I'm not just in some man's hands that wants to bring me into his house again and show me his artwork and show me a video about himself and then try to pretty much hit on me, give me alcohol and stuff like that. I was Lou's daughter, so that helped. Yeah, he was a very famous manager, Farrah Fawcett's manager.
Ooh.
And he was a friend of my family's. And he made me sit down. He had me come in. He was old. Jay Bernstein was his name. Old man at the time. And so he made me come in this house in Hollywood, the woman let me in, sit on the couch, had to watch a video all about his life and who he was. Came down high off of all these drugs. So creepy. He's like wanting me to make martinis with him. Anyway, it got weird, but I was like, I gotta go. And he's like, never tell anybody that you have a boyfriend if you ever do. And he's like, you're wearing red and black. You look like a hooker. Like really trying to be weird. After that and a few other incidences, I was like,
Oh, whoa.
I need to take a moment. However, it's okay. I did it in other ways, but I missed acting. Like I still do. I still miss the process of it, being on set. I love that. Like I love what we're doing, and then with the reset plan and everything that I do there.
Yeah.
But I did feel lost because I've been acting since I was 15. I even went to acting coaches that were major Scientologists in LA.
Yeah.
And I had to deal with cleaning their houses and helping them and move them and being part of like the Scientology world just to get good acting classes starting at 15.
No.
Oh, Beverly Hills Playhouse with Melvin Gonzalez and Gloria Gifford and all them. Oh,
you
yeah.
did those.
What?
Those are major.
Yeah. So I've been starting from forever.
Sure.
So anyway, yeah, going back to that. But then, you know, who knows? But I did take a toll because Purchase, our college, was like 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day. And it was great to have that structure, I feel like. And then 100%. I came back to LA and there's no theater really going on. There's nothing. And then I have to make money on top of it. And yeah, anyway.
Money.
But yeah. So like losing what I'm doing.
Right.
And being lost, feeling lost of sorts a little bit. But
yeah.
But I always had the passion for it. And you just like, I know people that say they don't have any passion for anything. So what would you say to that person? Because I've met a few people that are like,
no passion for anything.
Nothing. They have side jobs. They'll do it. They need to make money. But I'm like, what's your passion? What do you want to do? And they're like, I have no idea. And I'm like, well,
yeah, that's a real thing where people just aren't clear and they're happy to just do what they do, make the money, pay their bills, and be comfortable and, you know, live their life and kind of be in that place. And that's a place there. And maybe they're okay if they're happy and they have a sense of joy and contentment within that kind of place doing that. Then maybe that is their happy. Maybe that is what they want to do. And it's as simple as that. And I realize that it can be that, but that this has taken years and years and years because, you know, we were raised by creatives and artistic people and everything. And it's all about, you know, the passion and what do you really feel strong about and blah, blah. And so that's what you think you need to have to do what you want to do. Happy too. I mean, I remember my dad always saying like, it doesn't matter if you're a cleaning lady or a waitress or the biggest star in the world, as long as you're happy, I'll be happy, you know? And that, you know, as a kid, you go, oh, I love you too. But you don't really know what that means until, you know, you get older and then it starts to start to get it more and more and more, right? With a lot of things that way. But yeah, if you're taught that like it has to be so strong, there has to be such a behind what you want to be when you grow up. And you know, for me, when I kind of lost that a little bit, because it was for acting and I loved it. Honestly, it was really for a lot of art. I was always in some creative thing, right? It was some creative expression of some sort, painting, dancing, you know, crafting, acting, and then ultimately conservatory and the major structure of that and all of it. But then what I didn't love was the audition, the business part of it, right? And there was obviously it's more complicated.
We weren't really taught that at Purchase either. We really missed out on
conservatory
that.
systems do not really train their kids in that. That I think differentiates Juilliard from the rest of them because Juilliard does. But afterward, I think my dad had passed, and then he was a really big support of a lot of that for me, and so I lost that kind of passion for those things. I kind of lost my way a little bit in terms of
Mr. Cheerleader too.
Yeah, but like just, you know, my way is like, oh shoot, as a person, as a human, you know, I needed to kind of readjust. Yeah. And so that took some time. And so I took a back seat and said, no, let me support my husband, you know, Malcolm, let me support my mom and what she was trying to do. And I did that for a while, but then it was on them that when, hey, remember, you want to do stuff too. What do you want to do? Let's figure it out. Let's do these things. Let's try it. And they were amazing in terms of supporting that, especially Malcolm was so supportive and trying to figure
really
stuff
important
out. Yeah.
To have a great mate like that.
Yes.
You know, really supports it and
helps you to try to figure it out and try and do things. And through that time, you know, you have to be kind to yourself. You have to give yourself permission to kind kind of not know and try things, you know, and all the different insecurities and confidence issues and levels come into play, and you just kind of have to be with it, be present with it, and go through it. It's hard.
Yeah. What would you say to a person that's like, how do I find my passion?
At this point now, after going through what I went through and then finding something new and then really loving it, and then I'm all of a sudden now in a place where I'm in a transformation too. I'm a new mom, so my life is completely different. And what I had found before now also has to transform and change. So I'm kind of like in the same spot again where I'm like, oh, okay, let me reframe this again. I'm like, I have more information than I did before.
Right.
But how do I put this together now? So it's, I would say, you know, it's not about that young, like, you know, that you're always talking. Like you have to have that gusto.
The hustle.
I mean,
like, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's some people who are just always 100% clear. They know it. They live it. That's what they are. And that's what they're successful at it. And they do. And I mean, bless them. That is amazing. But there's also very much a lot of people in the other case where it's like, I don't know. Or you're a jack of many trades. You can do everything.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of different things, and you don't have one big yen for one thing. It's a lot. You could just, and there's this test during the quarantine.
Okay.
There's the you know how like all those big Ivy League colleges gave us free classes?
Yep. I remember you telling me about this.
And I took the happiness class at Yale. And I think the teacher has a podcast now, the Happiness Podcast. Check it out. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
But it defines what it is, and it gives you a method, a scientific method to find what that is. And there's a lot of non-for-profit type of like organizations that kind of help in this way, because in this new era, they're finding that a lot of young people and our generation and stuff like that are more interested, not necessarily like our parents who were like, you know, I got to have the house and the lawn and but of experience and happiness and joy and what that means, and travel and, you know, that versus the things. Right. So, it was a personality test. And I am so sorry I forgot to bring it here today, but I will put it on our little feed down there so everyone can check it out. But it's a personality, it's free, and it's a 200 questions, and then it rates your personality of what your strong superpower is, what it is that defines your personality, that'll help you. So maybe if you lean into that characteristic or that trait, that may help you to find your passion.
I want this because I could give this to a few people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And mine was really interesting.
What was yours?
Curiosity.
Like, okay.
But what do I do with that? Right? When I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's great, but what do I do with that? Like, is that really going to get me to, you know?
Do they guide you of what to do with that?
No, that is your thing. And now I should lean into this curiosity. Let me ask the questions. Let me follow my curious, you know, thing. And you never know what may happen if I just follow through with it. And I think that's actually kind of helped. Like, I was curious about this podcast.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
It's a trait, a quality that, you know, is natural to me, that I could stumble upon something. So that's why when people are like, what's your passion? You need to find that passion. I'm like, that to me now, when I hear that, I'm like, the idea of what passion is not that like that burning, I burn for you, Bridgerton passion.
Right.
It's
right.
more like,
yeah.
You know, it's more like, all right, well, what are you curious about? What do you like? What would you get into? And then from that way, and that's why when I'm so amazed when I look at all these like kid YouTubers now, and that's a legit job, y'all. But like, they are just doing what they like. They're just taking video
making millions
and making
It's crazy.
And not even working because they're doing what they like.
Yeah.
So it's you have to take some type of lesson in that, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Tell me what you think about this. So, you getting started like you were saying, like nothing like knowing, okay, so like it was interesting. I was looking at the web and it was like passion, because it was the same thing I was thinking too. I was like, oh, what's my passion? What's my motivation? Like all of that. But it was saying that I like to look and compare and contrast, right?
Yeah.
But get started, right? Where, nothing like knowing what you don't want to find out what you do want.
That's good. That's good to know.
So true.
Yeah.
It's like finding yourself. Life's about creating yourself, knowing what you
design your life.
Because I'm like, I know what I don't want. Let's start there. So if you don't know what, quote unquote, this passion is going to not come out of the sky. Want. Right. I know what I don't want. So narrow down what you don't want and then put down things that you may like.
Yeah.
And start from there. I think also getting out of this Instagram world of fantasy land of what you think you want, and then really getting down to basics and going, what is my highest and best? What can I really do? You know what I mean? People are like, I want to get to Kardashian level. I'm like, you can say what you want about those girls, but they've worked hard to get to.
They put in a lot of work to get where they are.
It's work. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and then and a lot of people do not want to put in the work. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if Instagram does go down, they have a brand. They've worked hard for that brand. But I'm looking at a lot of these Instagram humans and I'm like, if the internet went down tomorrow, you would jump off of a building because you have nothing else.
Remember the freak out when they took away the likes?
Oh my God. Right?
I was like, are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
But it's the immediate gratification thing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But what is that? A passion? I don't know. I saw a great documentary, actually. It's on HBO, and they did the social experiment about Instagram and all of that.
I have to watch that. The
you
social
should.
issues. Yeah.
It was very interesting. Okay. I think another one, the next one is if you do find out, something that you do like and you're scared to go there, you got to prepare yourself that it's going to take a while.
Oh, yes.
What you were just saying about the instant gratification. Everyone's like, well, why didn't it happen? Why didn't it happen? Because it takes so much time.
It's not going to take 2 months. It may not even take a year. It may take many years.
But they see people that are just successful already and they're like, oh, no, you didn't see the decades that it took them to get to that level of where they are now.
Yeah.
And people just look at what they see in front of them and they don't go, what did it take to get there? They're like, I could do that. I'm like, if you could do it, you would be in their position then.
If you can, then do it.
Thank you.
Then do it.
Then do it. And I'll support you 110%. But just do it.
Yeah, no, there's a whole thing of, I don't know, just like you gotta get it done. All the artists, the best artists in the world, we're never gonna see. You know who we are seeing? We're seeing the people that got it done.
Consistent.
Yeah, that they put the black line, they put the pen to paper, they put the brush to the canvas, they showed up at the mat. They did it.
When it wasn't all pretty.
Yeah, and they may not be the best, but they got it done. So I was able to see it and appreciate it and pay the ticket. You know what I mean? So it's about that. So when I took that test and it was curiosity and then I had to meditate on it and really process that, I was like, okay, let me just follow through the curiosity. Let me be curious and I will follow through the curiosity. I will do the work, because also too, and this comes with age and maturity, it's about the process. It's not necessarily about the goal because the process is the goal.
Yeah. So and enjoying the process. And going to that is progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
I feel like so many people don't even start because they're like, oh, it's not going to be perfect. Yeah. It's not going to be what I want it to be. And I'm like, well, then you just shot yourself in the foot anyway, because it's just about progress. It's about, are you better than you were the day before? But you're competing against yourself.
Absolutely. Well, you made a good point about the TV idea of things like that and differentiating what the reality is versus, it's a constant
the fantasy and the highest and best.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because it's a constant theme now in conversations. It's it's not movie love, it's real love. It's not, TV birth, it's real birth. It's not, TV friendship, TV girlfriend. It's real friendship, and
it's work.
Yeah, it's work. It's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's what social media kind of creates for a lot of kids, and I don't know, parents or whatever need to do the balance of it. Yeah.
I thought COVID, as horrible as it's been, I thought it was really interesting to watch Instagram during COVID, where a lot of these humans are still pretending they're on the beach somewhere and they're still pretending that their life is eating out. And I'm like, No, you're not. Those are old photos that you're repurposing right now. And you're not being real about what's going on in the world because it's not sexy.
Yeah.
COVID's not sexy. So,
Yeah.
of course, they were just doing other things that were sexy. And I'm like, you're so fraudulent with all of this. You know what I mean? And so inauthentic of what's going on in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's great to like weed those people out and just be like, wow, got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought this was really interesting because I had a person that said to me, he's just good with just doing what he does, doesn't have a passion, he says, Instacart and all that. And I kept saying to him, you know, if you're doing Instacart, that's great. That's a great job. Side gigs are always great. However, what's the long term, right? About like giving back. I feel like you need to give back in life, you know, whether you're a parent or, you know, whatever you choose to do.
Sure.
I think it's part of who we should be as humans to thrive. But I think volunteering and shadowing, have an idea instead of starting your own company from scratch, right? And putting all the money and the effort, and you may not even like it anyway.
Right.
Volunteer or shadow somebody that does something that you think you may like to do.
The curiosity. Try things. Figure it out.
Exactly. Saying yes, get your ego, put it to the side, you know, get back to basics. Because I just watch these people that start these companies, these LLCs, and they're so excited about the LLC. They're so excited for the CEO title. And I'm like, then what's your plan?
Well, there's a certain amount of proactive hustle that has to happen in order for you to just figure out and like, you know, live your life, proactively live your life. Because there's a lot of folks we know who just sit there, watch TV, you know, get the paycheck and then just wait for life to happen to them.
Right.
You know, and, or there's, you know, everyone is trained pretty much to follow a schedule. You know, school is made for the parents do it for you, and then you go to school and then you're told how to do that and da da da. So all of a sudden when you're out in the real world and there's no schedule given to you, you know,
totally.
If you're not doing a 9 to 5, if, you know, a 9 to 5 is another schedule that's given to you.
Right.
But outside of that, you know, where's your goals and aims and stuff like that? And that's where this, you know, the new era of these generations from, you know, the X, Y, Z, and all the the rest of the generations right now are like more about experiences and happiness and joy. That's what that whole happiness class was about. They're more into that versus getting the house and the 2 cars and the 2
right.
and a quarter kids and the lawn, the whole thing. Because a lot of people who have gotten that, they go, okay, I did it. Now what?
Right.
And it's just about filling in that that gray area, those bubbles, and it's okay. I think if the passion isn't there, it's just about proactively trying to figure out and to do.
Maybe you
and to
don't even
live
know.
life.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, but like work out, go on a hike, meet friends. Don't close and shut and stay quiet and things. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I love you guys. Like, if you guys like you know, you're independent. Like, you guys work, but then you could have gigs once. Like you and Malcolm, like you get hired, you go places and stuff. But you guys never stop doing other projects as well.
We're very entrepreneurial. Yeah.
But that's amazing. I just look at people that compartmentalize and I'm like, they do the work and then they're like, okay, I need a vacation for 3 months. And I'm like, you do? Really? 3 months? Okay. Like, why don't you do something else to bide the time? And then they're doing drugs a lot. I see a lot of actors.
That's different.
That's
bored. That's being bored.
But you choose to be bored because there's other things you could do. You know what I mean?
We could learn to vacation better and more.
I'm with you. Me too.
But at the same time, everything a balance, right? But at the same time, yeah, I guess I see what you're saying.
But still keep the flow going no matter what your job is. If you're a fisherman and then you're off the boat month to month, like 1 month off, 1 month on, try to keep the balance so that you don't just have the highs and then the lows,
For sure.
I would say, no matter what your profession is, if it's not a 9 to 5 consistent.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then learn the skills that are needed to achieve something you're interested in. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Learn the skills. Don't just show up and be like, you know, because going back to curious of what you were saying, if you're interested in a restaurant and owning a restaurant, you don't just put your money down and say, I'm going to own a restaurant. Like, start as bussing table. Like, start from the bottom and work your way through the restaurant.
That's a philosophy. I've discovered that this is a philosophy. Like, we're like, I want to know how everybody does their job here so I can understand it and run it the best way.
Right.
But there are some people out there in the world who are like, no, I'll just buy it and have somebody else run it for me.
How does that work usually, though? Does it work well for the people? Like, You gotta, yeah, I don't know. I take pride in knowing the steps.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you have more respect and all the different things for the
Yeah.
business, for sure.
Yeah.
But there are those that
There
go,
are.
well, I'll just buy it and then they can run it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, good for you. When they're stealing from you. Yeah. And they're signing your checks. Okay. And then the last one that it says is do something on the side that makes you money and start saving. Okay.
Yeah.
So like if you're really interested and you're like, I want to start a dog grooming business, right? Well, you can't start it right away. You have to go make money, make sure you have some savings, because that's what a lot of people do. They put their little nest egg in and then they put it all in and then they have no money saved to stay consistent with the day-to-day bills of what's going to happen. You may not get bunch of dogs right away if you're doing, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you have to be prepared for the long run. And then otherwise they're like, oh, I failed. And you still have the brick and mortar. You have to, you know what I mean? You have to be realistic about what you choose to go in.
You got to do your research. You got to do the work. You got to be informed, about all this stuff. You can, you may love grooming animals, grooming dogs and helping other people and stuff like that. But opening your own business, if that's what it is, that takes a lot of other skill sets. So if you don't have that, ask for the help, find the support, take the classes, do what you got to do. And that's the process. And I think that's what we're saying, right? We're going to say, get into the process of figuring that out. And maybe there you will find what you want to do.
And start.
Or what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And start in your apartment grooming dogs, or, like in a little, like do something outside as opposed to getting the money for the brick and mortar and then it fail. You know what I mean? Like start with baby steps. I just find that people like the glamorous part of it first,
of course,
where they want to take the photos of the new shop and spend the money here. And I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing backing you up financially right now. It's not realistic in the beginning. You can always grow with it and make things nicer once money comes in. But I don't know what La La Land they live in. And then
that's like a lot of young thinking too.
It is.
Yeah.
But I know some people too. Yeah, but that's people that are inexperienced thinking, right? Where they just think it's going to happen. But yeah, that's why I say.
Or they would like to do this, but they just, well, I don't know, and not wanting to do the work. So they don't really want to do that. They just like the idea of it. And so, when you have those, and everybody has those moments, but when you have those moments, be like, yeah, that's not really, because you're not wanting to do the work. So what do you want to, the question really is, what do you want to do?
Right.
Are you just being lazy? There's also that. It's as simple as, you're just being lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's good. I'm not a guru with this, but I think people have been asking us this question. So I think we wanted to put it out there.
And I think it's a real, I don't want to say epidemic, but it's just a real thing, because people are really asking the questions of like, what do I want to be? What do I want to do now? And they have, especially after the COVID and everything. And this is a way of, to discuss that now, because I think a lot of people's worlds have been rocked and, these questions and things have come out. So.
Yeah. And good for you if you want to start up again and you don't know, and you made millions being an anesthesiologist and now you want to go and rescue animals for the rest of your, good for you. As long as you have passion. Money does not go behind passion always. You know what I mean? You can just have hobbies and, explore that to be a profession, but make sure you like what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
let us know what you think. Tell us your opinions.
Yeah.
That's our go-to guide. But we just really want to put it out there to you guys. You guys ask us questions. So we're not the thought leaders, but, I think finding stuff out.
Yeah.
And
this is just what we think. So tell us what you think.
Yeah.
All right.
Raw talk, not food.
Raw talk, not food.